So for some reason, many people are saying they're never paying off their student loans, and here's why. And by the way, this is not an illegal thing that they're doing. This is totally legal, just a tax-savvy strategy to have them not pay their student loans. What people are doing is once they graduate, they keep their enrollment open, doing 6 credits per year, keeping their deferment options available for student loan payments. Here's where it gets interesting. Because they're technically a student still, they can go and defer their payments, not make student loan payments, spend about $2,000 a year in classes, but receive back $1,000 in a lifetime learning credit, bringing their total to $1,000 per year to freeze their student loan payments. The reason why this is going viral online is not only does it help people freeze their student loans, but it also is helping them level up their skills and get more advanced degrees. But let me know, is this a good idea or completely shady? I'm going to make a follow-up video tomorrow going deeper into this, but for more news that makes you money, go over and give me a follow-up.
I got out of over $185,000 of debt in less than 1 year. How'd we get there? And then I'll tell you how I got out of it. In 2020, I graduated college, and instead of using my degrees, I pursued something I really wanted to do, and that was building a gym/fitness clothing brand. That went great. I loved it and I was enjoying myself, and it went that way for a few years. Essentially, where it went south is when we switched manufacturers. I ended up taking out a huge loan to buy a ton of apparel, so that way we never ran into issues of having enough supply. And an extremely long story short, I sent them all of the money, which was just shy of $120,000, and they scammed me and I received nothing. Over the course of the next few months, we would have exchanges like, "When are the clothes getting here?" And they'd give me a bullshit answer, and then they would ghost me, and that would just repeat over and over and over again. All this time, interest is starting to build up on this massive loan. And then reality started to sink in, and I eventually thought to myself, oh shit, I got scammed. At the time, that was my primary source of income, and it got to a point where I was barely able to make the minimum payments on the loan and also pay for myself to live. At that point, I went to one of my friends who owns a personal training company, and I said, hey, man, I don't want to borrow money from you. I just would love a job. Can you give me a job? I've been a trainer before, and I can do a great job. I began working as an in-person trainer, and also alongside that, started working as an online coach and spending all my time working. Not joking you when I say all my time. Monday to Friday, I was training people in person for 13 hours and on Saturday for 7. And all of the time, aside from in-person training, I spent working with online clients. And after 5 months of that, I made my first dent on the actual principal amount of the loan. And then 6 months later, I was finally debt-free. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I kind of am. You never know what you're truly capable of until you're backed into a corner and you have only one option. For those of you who have been in or are currently in debt, you know that there is no feeling quite as suffocating and debilitating as financial struggles like that. And thanks be to God, I somehow survived and got through arguably one of the darkest periods of my life.
This is how I paid off $100,000 in debt in 2 years. This is all the result of taking on student loans that I couldn't afford, moving into an apartment that I couldn't afford, and taking out a loan for a new car that I couldn't afford. So the first thing I did, made a budget. Turns out I was going further into debt every single month. So then I immediately eliminated every want from my budget. It was a bit harsh, but I needed to do it. And I traded in my new car for a van with 120,000 miles on it so I could get rid of that car payment. For years, I was Dan with the van. Then I got a job on the side as a brand ambassador making $30 an hour. I do it every day on the weekends and once a week after work. I used all that money to pay off my credit card debt. I wasn't using that money for anything else. Then I moved in with 5 roommates. Pretty crazy, but it actually saved me over $1,000 a month. Living with roommates is a great way to get your rent down. Over the course of those 2 years, I invested a ton into my career that ended up helping me get promotions that resulted in about $40,000 more a year. And look, it wasn't easy. I said no to a lot of things, but I knew the whole time that that was going to be temporary. Those sacrifices that I made over those 2 years, while they were hard, it made it so I didn't have to carry debt for the next 20 years.
Hey, so this is probably the most vulnerable post I will have ever made in the history of time. And for those of you who this little blue halo is already triggering you, I'm so sorry. But I'm gonna hopefully make you feel better, and I'm honestly having a weekly crash out. I need help from you as well. This is how much money I owe in student debt for my physician assistant degree. And before you go ahead and take out the phrase that is so commonly used, oh, but you knew how much you were taking out in the beginning. No, a lot of this has to do with interest alone accruing, while I am in a hell of a limbo of what we like to call administrative forbearance, trying to get into the SAVE plan. So I worked with a student loan counselor after I graduated, and I was told to consolidate all of my Direct Plus grad student loans to be one loan so that I could apply to the SAVE repayment plan. Right as soon as I started and submitted my application was when all of the chaos happened in the courts, where they just can't get their head out of their ass and figure out what they're doing. And so I never actually got into the SAVE plan. And so I have been accruing interest at a 7% rate. I've not had to pay my monthly payment. My monthly payment has been $0 because of a previous tax return when I was making $0 income as a student. But still, this amount is a literal noose around my neck. And I don't think I will ever pay this off. I fear that I will not be able to ever own a home as someone still earning 6 figures salary, let alone children. I would love and aspire to have a child someday, but this really, I don't want to say like makes me suicidal, but like it truly makes it really hard to get out of bed every morning. And I know I'm not alone. I know I don't even have it that bad, but I'm truly asking as a cry for help, like how you compartmentalize the stress of something like this, knowing that you'll never, ever get out of debt, because it would take an act of God to take this amount away. And people repay the principal loan multiple times over in situations like me, but they never get rid of their debt because of the system at hand. And that is what is so fucked about student loans for people in advanced degrees like doctor, nurse, anesthetist, nurse practitioner, physician assistant. What else can I think of? Any degree program that takes multiple loans and at least 6 figures to take out to go to these programs. And I did this to get a better life for myself, get a salary that actually amounted to something for my future family. And yet this is what happened. And a lot of it wasn't even the fault of my own, because I had no way of predicting that this would happen. had no way of knowing that SAVE would not be around in the future. PSLF is my only option. I do work at a 501c3, but even then, the payment is like pushing almost $1,000 a month, and that will soon become even unaffordable for me. So yeah, I'm literally at a loss.
Last night I had to log into my student loan account to print out the paperwork to have my taxes done today. So I got to get a glimpse of my student loan balance for the first time in, I don't know, presumably a year. I honestly don't remember knowing what I owed still. Now, for a point of reference, I graduated in 2011. Okay, so I've been making student loan payments for almost 14 years. I actually did the math. It was about 165 monthly student loan payments that I've made so far. Okay, now I went to pharmacy school. I'm a pharmacist. That's a doctorate degree. It took 6 years. I went to a private school, not because I wanted to, but at the time, there were only 6 schools in the state of Pennsylvania with a pharmacy program. 2 of them were state schools, 4 of them were private. Chose the school I chose because they gave me a $12,000 a year academic scholarship for the first 4 years. So I got $48,000 worth of academic scholarship. So that's why I chose that school. So my education, even with the scholarship, cost still like $250,000, roughly. Now, I'm fortunate my parents paid for a really good chunk of that, over $100,000. I don't remember the exact numbers, honestly, of how it all washed out. But I do know when I got my first student loan bill in the mail, well, I almost shit a brick, but my balance was like right around $125,000. Okay, 165 monthly payments on $125,000. How much do you think I still owe? $78,000. Yeah, I don't know. The math isn't mathing. Now, full disclosure, I did refinance at some point, which is a horrible idea. Like, at the time, it seems like a good idea because the monthly payments are so, like, overwhelming. But in the long run, you're screwing yourself when you refinance a student loan. You just you just are. So 165 monthly payments. I never deferred it. I never missed a payment. And I still owe $78,000. And I've been out of school for 14 years. My oldest turns 10 next week. So realistically, if she decides to go to college, I'm going to be still paying my student loans and likely still owe what, like $30-some thousand on my student loans when I'm trying to figure out how to pay for her college. And I don't know what the solution is to this whole situation. I don't think loan forgiveness is fair. I don't think taxpayers who didn't go to college should have to have their tax money pay off the student loans for those who did choose to go to college. I don't think that's fair at all. But I do think something needs to be done because universities are charging like obscene tuition. Student loan companies are doing predatory lending to children and setting up people for like a lifetime of debt. Like, you're starting out your adult life with like crippling debt. And I don't know what the solution is here, but something isn't working.
So I called the student loans people yesterday and I was like, ma'am, because I put me on deferment right now. I don't want no forbearance. No, because forbearance, if you didn't know, your interest continues to grow even though it's paused. No, deferment. Thank you. And the lady said, as of right now, your monthly payments are $1,554. I said, excuse me? No habla inglés. Huh? So then I said, this is a recorded line, right? She said, yes, ma'am, it is. I said, give me a second. Shh. I said, anybody who's on the other end, listen to me. I don't have it. That is rent. $1,554. I said, damn, they greedy, huh? They couldn't just make that 54 cents? Like, dollars? I said, that is rent. I don't have it. I don't have it. I will not have it. The lady said, yeah, this takes a couple of weeks. We already seen your application. It'll be applied. Okay. Thank you. 36 months? Thank you. I'll apply again in 3 years. Thank you.
Let me tell you something. The federal government is going to continue to wait for the dime that they're never going to see from me. If my minimum payment is $95, that's what they're going to get. They're not getting a penny more, a dime, a nickel more, nothing more than 95. Okay. I'm going to pay my minimum so I don't go into default. And I'm going to let PSLF run its course. That's all I got. That's all I have for them. They're not getting anything else. If my credit card don't get a full payment every month, what makes you think that the federal government is supposed to get $72,000 out of me? Because that 72 is basically interest. Not gonna happen. And for anybody that says you took out the loan, you need to pay it back, listen. Now,
not me entering my final stage of full-blown crash out. I'm literally crashing out. I was so excited for tonight. Oh my God, I'm so worked up. I was going to get dressed up. I mean, I still am. I'm definitely getting a martini now. Last week, I fucking hate student loans. Last month, I set up auto pay because I don't want to forget. I don't like being late. You can never get on the phone with these stupid student loan people. And I log on today because I have to get my fucking tax documents. Fuck my life. Life never ends. I'm like, oh my God, it says my payment's late. And I'm like, how does that even make sense? I set up auto pay last month with my card and my bank and all the stupid information. And then I call them today and they're like, it's going to be a 3-hour and 50-minute wait time. And then I'm trying to have dad help me. And I'm like, what did you guys have me set up auto pay for that if my payments are now late? And I'm like, I'm not crashing out over Mohila. You're ugly. I don't have time for this. I'm crying over a fucking stupid student loan.
So for some reason, many people are saying they're never paying off their student loans, and here's why. And by the way, this is not an illegal thing that they're doing. This is totally legal, just a tax-savvy strategy to have them not pay their student loans. People are doing is once they graduate, they keep their enrollment open, doing 6 credits per year, keeping their deferment options available for student loan payments. Here's where it gets interesting. Because they're technically a student still, they can go and defer their payments, not make student loan payments, spend about $2,000 a year in classes, but receive back $1,000 in a lifetime learning credit, bringing their total to $1,000 per year to freeze their student loan payments. The reason why this is going viral online is not only does it help people freeze their student loans, but it also is helping them level up their skills and get more advanced degrees. But let me know, is this a good idea or completely shady? I'm going to make a follow-up video tomorrow going deeper into this, but for more news that makes you money, go over and give me a follow.
Why I'm not paying off my student loans as an MBA grad making $200K a year. I'll pay them off eventually, but here's why I'm not in a rush to do it. Let's say I took out a $100K loan and that I have 10 years to pay it back at a 6% interest rate. Let's also say that I have $100K sitting in my bank right now that I can use to pay back my loans, if only. The simple thing to do would be to take that $100K and pay off my loans, right? Think again. If I take my $100K to pay off the loan, I'm debt free, but I also now have $0. If I invest my $100K, I'll make $160K in 10 years from compounding returns. Over the same time period, I need to pay back $135K on my loan principal and interest. Let's do the math. 160 minus 135 equals $25,000 that I made from not paying off my student loans immediately. Vivian from Your Rich BFF posted a video the other day about how we need to change the narrative on debt, because when rich people have debt, it's called leverage, and we celebrate them. So if you have student loans, you're not in debt, you're just levered.
Yep, I need that. Come on, what's that? Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, hey.
Hi, y'all. So, first of all, hey, smiling, but it's not a smiling occasion because I'm about to put Mohila student loans on blast right now because they've been playing games with me for about the past 2 years now when it comes to my student loans, and the fact that they're charging me interest on a loan that I paid off and they just decided not to get rid of it on my account. There's a whole backstory and receipts, and I've been trying to reach out to Mohila to fix this problem for the past 2 years, to the point that they actually drastically decreased my credit score because of something that they did incorrectly on my student loan account. And it's because they didn't update the records, and it's nonstop. And I've been trying to reach out to see if I can get help, but there's been very hard to find help for this stuff. So here we are. So story time.
And listen, I have nothing against college. I have nothing against anyone that went to college, but don't sit here and complain that you're in all the student loan debt, and then in the same breath, you're also the same person that made fun of people for either A, going to community college or not going to college. College is kind of a scam.
I can't believe it's happening. And the most beautiful part about it is my career-themed hair claws are supported by other working women. Come with me to pay off $34,182 worth of my student loan debt from art school, thanks to you. I started off with $130,000. I knocked it down all the way to $58,000 over the course of the past 4 or 5 years. My name's Colette. I'm oversharing about my student loans because I'm a full-time artist and I actually do have a career. It did work out for me. Art school is paying itself off, and I'm taking you on the journey because I am so close. I graduated in 2021. I have been busting my booty to pay it off. You might know me for my career-themed hair claw collection, my career claws. Long story short, I'm running a promo right now where if you buy 2, you get 1 free. It's working really well. I have $45,515 left, and today we are paying off $34,182. So let's do it. Here's the payoff amount. Bye-bye. Payment amount, $34,182. It's a lot of money to part with, but look, gotta do it. Gotta do it. I can't believe it's happening. Never cried on my platform after years of filming videos. But this is such a happy moment for me. This level of debt has financially traumatized me so badly. $11,000. That's nothing That's like, I have like, what, 10% left? What the fuck is my life? Thank you for supporting my designs and allowing me to like live a normal life. Like, it's entirely my fault, you know? That's why it hurts so bad, is that I've struggled so hard to build something big enough to squash this, and I thought I'd be doing this for like 30 years. Paying this off before I'm 26. When I used to worry about how am I going to pay for healthcare on my 26th birthday. It's such a big deal. I'm sorry if I'm an ugly crier, okay? I have Botox in my forehead. Gotta treat yourself sometimes. And the most beautiful part about it is my career-themed hair claws are supported by other working women. Other working women got me here. Thank you. What a baby.
To catch you up, the Trump administration wants to severely cut student loans for anyone in higher education. This includes undergraduates, graduate students, those in medical school, dental school, pharmacy school, anything that you can think of is probably going to be affected. The big, beautiful bill that most of these proposed changes is in has already passed the House, but it has not yet gone through the Senate. What I'm going to detail in this video is specifically all of the changes that the Senate proposed from the actual bill that was passed in Congress. For the last several years, specifically under the Biden administration, there were a lot of options for borrowers to repay their loans. The one that most people are familiar with would be income-driven repayment, or IDR, but as part of this big, beautiful bill, that will be going away. Instead, you're going to have two options. Your first option is the standard repayment plan, which is between 10 and 25 years. You pay it back with a set amount that you pay every month. And then the alternative option is the repayment assistance plan, nicknamed RAP. I'm going to be looking down because I want to give you guys the best, most true information, and it's in my notes, and there's a lot of numbers. So the House proposed, this is the one that passed, to cap lifetime student loans to $50,000 for undergraduates, $100,000 for graduate students, and $150,000 for professional programs. So professional programs would be like dental school, medical school. That's the version that passed in the House. The version that the Senate has proposed is capping lifetime loans to $100,000 for graduate students, which is the same, but for professional programs, it is now $200,000. Some of you might have seen those TikToks about medical students or pharmacy students or really any sort of higher education student being like, oh, here's how much I have student loans. And if you've seen those, I don't feel like I have to tell you, $200,000 is not enough to pay for any professional program without a substantial scholarship. Not only are these scholarships already competitive enough as is, take medical schools who go tuition free, their acceptance rates declined so much because of the amount of applicants they now have wanting that free tuition. The exact same thing is going to happen. You take away the ability to borrow student loans so that future healthcare professionals can go to school. The competitiveness of scholarships is only going to increase. So at that point, you can only go to medical school or any other professional school or graduate program if you are either filthy rich or you are crazy competitive and get a scholarship. And those aren't the only two categories of people that we need in medicine or any other field. Another change proposed in the big, beautiful bill is eliminating loan deferment for those who are facing economic hardship or unemployment. So if you lose your job and you have no salary, you're still going to have to pay back your student loans every single month on time. There is no pause. There is no temporary deferment period like there is now. So ultimately, what does this mean for you as a borrower? are. For starters, with fewer options to pay your loans back, you're likely looking at higher monthly costs. Next, the amount of students who can pursue higher education is going to shrink with the caps to how much students can borrow. So, like I said, this or a version of this bill has already passed in the House, but it has not yet been voted on in the Senate. We don't know when the Senate vote is going to take place. Maybe July, maybe August. Don't really know, but there is things you can do in the meantime. If you go to congress.gov at this specific URL that I will also post in my comments, it's going to take you to a page that says find your members, and it's either going to say representatives or senators. You can also type in your address and it will tell you who your state senators are. That hyperlink is going to send you to their website, and every single person on this website is going to have an area where you can contact them on your website. What you encounter there might be different. Some of them only let you email them, you can mail them, some of them have text, some of them have their phone numbers, some of them you can meet with in person. Do it. Back when I emailed my representatives, I Googled what town they were from, and they were both from super small Kansas towns, which is perfect because I am too. And a lot of what I'm passionate about is expanding healthcare access in rural areas. So when I emailed, I was like, hey, you grew up in a really small town. Didn't it really suck to have to drive hours to your doctor's appointment? Don't you think that that community that you grew up in deserves access to healthcare? I do too. That's why I'm going to school for it. But to do that, I need loans. If you cut them, I can't do that, and I can't have a positive impact on your rural community. So if you take one thing from this entire video, it should be that you need to call your senator.
I have $70,000 of student loan debt that I am trying to desperately pay off. I would love to pay it all off as soon as possible. And I have a new plan of attack of what I'm going to do. I just thought of this idea the other day and I was like, you know what, that's actually a pretty good idea. It adds up to a decent amount of money per month. So this is my new plan to paying off my student loans. I am going to make a payment every single day. And that payment is going to be based off of the day of the month. So today, for example, is May 7th. So I'm going to make a $7 payment towards my student loans. And if I did my math correct, I think at the end of a normal 30-day month, I will have put $462 towards my loans, which is more than I've ever really put per month towards my loans, like ever. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's going to add up very quickly. And then when the month restarts, I will start over and start with like $1 and then $2 and then $3. So that's going to be my new plan. I'm going to try to post a video every single day of me doing it and keep myself accountable for doing it. So today we are going to make a $7 payment towards my student loans. I am paying off my Parent Plus loan first because that one has the highest interest rate. So let's go take a look at that. Scoot over here so you can see, but I put my student loans on my home screen on my phone so I can look at them very easily every single day. And another way to keep myself accountable. So we're going to go in and I'm going to make a $7 payment. So right now my balance is $14,884. That is wild. I actually thought it was closer to 16, so I'm happy to see that it's under 15. And $404 of that is interest. And this is going to help me just chip away at it daily, and hopefully that'll help with not gaining as much interest if I'm making payments on it every single day. So there we go. I have made a $7 payment towards my student loan. I will be back tomorrow to make an $8 payment on the same student loan.
In honor of me graduating college this week, I was like, you know what? We're going to rip the Band-Aid off. We're going to check our student loan debt. And I kind of at a ballpark range, like I knew how much I owed, not down to like the exact dollar amount. I'm the type of person who gets nervous to check their bank account after a weekend out. So I took a look. I took a hard gander at exactly how much money I owe. I'm going to die with it. Like I can confidently say there wasn't even like a panic. It was just like my heart sank to my ass. I'm going to die with it. Like I don't know any way I'm going to be able to pay that off, other than selling my organs on the black market. This is why I don't understand why people shit on sugar babies, because like I could get this all paid off tomorrow. Maybe not tomorrow, but you know what I mean, like within the year. If I just found a rich man and everyone's like, patriarchy, don't work for them. Ask not what you can do for the patriarchy, but what the patriarchy can do for you. If it benefits me, then maybe it's not the patriarchy, maybe it's just a helping hand.
I have over $326,000 of student loans, and that's just me. I'm not even talking about my husband, which we're married, so we're considered one. He went to medical school, so he has more loans than I do. So yeah. And so I was thinking, like, if my kids did not want to go to college, actually, I would not even be upset. I wouldn't even be upset if they have a plan, though. If they have a plan, like if they say, even to me, if they said, oh, I'm doing social media, like I would help them, but they have to have a plan. Like they have to have a plan executed, not just be like one day I'm doing this and one day I'm doing that. You know what I mean? But there's so many successful young adults right now that did not go to college and do not have the amount of debt that my husband and I do, and are doing very well. And that's just the world that we live in right now. Part of me wishes I could go back to being like 20, but at this time now, because I feel like I would have changed so much things. Like, do you feel me? What are your thoughts on college? Because right now, it sucks. If you go like back into my Instagram, I'm very like pro higher education, okay? It was something that I thought was not achievable for me as a first generation college student. And I was already a mom of 2 boys at that point. So, and I was in my 30s. So I was like, or I was like 28 or almost, anyways. So I went back to college, got a bachelor's, a master's, and then went to PA school. But also my parents are from the generation, my mom is like 79. My dad passed away, but he was 83, and they're very in the mindset where like you have to get an education. Like we came to this country so you can get education, and that's the only way that you will ever be successful. You have to work hard and make money, work hard, make money, work hard, make money, work out of the home. But there's so many other avenues to make a life for yourself and be a present parent at the same time. You know, if your dream is to go to med school or whatever it is, like, then that's your dream. That I thought it was my dream, but maybe, just maybe, and I'm being super honest, I was doing it because I thought it was going to be a better life for my kids and I, which it can be, and it has been, but there's other things that come with it, like, you know, debt and time away from your family. That's all I'm saying. So I just want my kids to be happy, whatever that is, and successful, but it doesn't have to be college. Okay, bye.
I'm not sure how relatable this is going to be for my viewer demographic, but I need to talk about the debt that I'm swimming and drowning in and the anxiety that I have every day. Horrible anxiety because of it. Now, me personally, I am almost, I'd say about $200,000 in debt total, with all my student loans and credit card debt and just other debt. So, like, and I know I chose to go to NYU. I don't regret it at all. I loved living in New York City. I loved NYU, and we all knew I was crying about it like 2 years ago when I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be in debt after I graduate. But now that we have to like pay it back, I'm extremely alarmed and really scared and terrified. And like, obviously living in New York is really, really expensive. So I have a lot of credit cards that I'm pretty much maxed out on. So don't really have any credit that I can use, and my credit score sucks because of that and because of my loans. So that's really cool. Also, I just took literally like the first job I was offered after I graduated because I didn't have a job, and debt, credit cards, medical bills, and they're paying me literally the bare minimum. But I wanted to move back to New York City as soon as possible because I wanted to, like, what 24-year-old doesn't want to go back to living on their own? Like, I don't want to live with my parents, no offense. So I'm going to do that because I love New York City. So I know what you're thinking. Wow, you're really crazy because you're in that much debt and you're going to go move to the most expensive city in the world. Yes, I am. With that being said, more than half of my monthly income will be going towards my rent. So I have to get a second job to work in order to live in New York City. And still with that second job, I'm going to be struggling to pay my bills. And then how am I going to have fun? Like what? Like going out to dinner one night cost me like $100. And don't even get me started on the medical bills because I keep getting these notices that I have to pay like $20 for an appointment I went to like 2 years ago. And then they're like, we're going to send you to collections. So that is fun. I also have a dentist appointment next week, and they're gonna literally be like, you have 8 cavities. So, looking forward to that bill as well. But yeah, like, I really just want to cry and scream and throw up all day, every day. And I don't know if anyone can relate, but I'm gonna be in debt for the rest of my life, so might as well live it up in New York City and go into more debt.
Last night I had to log into my student loan account to print out the paperwork to have my taxes done today. So I got to get a glimpse of my student loan balance for the first time in, I don't know, presumably a year. I honestly don't remember knowing what I owed still. Now, for point of reference, I graduated in 2011. Okay, so I've been making student loan payments for almost 14 years. I actually did the math. It was about 165 monthly student loan payments that I've made so far. Okay, now I went to pharmacy school. I'm a pharmacist. That's a doctorate degree. It took 6 years. I went to a private school, not because I wanted to, but at the time, there were only 6 schools in the state of Pennsylvania with a pharmacy program. 2 of them were state schools, 4 of them were private. Chose the school I chose because they gave me a $12,000 a year academic scholarship for the first 4 years. So I got $48,000 worth of academic scholarship. So that's why I chose that school. So my education, even with the scholarship, cost still like $250,000, roughly. Now, I'm fortunate. My parents paid for a really good chunk of that, over $100,000. I don't remember the exact numbers, honestly, of how it all washed out. But I do know when I got my first student loan bill in the mail, well, I almost shit a brick, but my balance was like right around $125,000. Okay, 165 monthly payments on $125,000. How much do you think I still owe? $78,000. Yeah, I don't know. The math isn't mathing. Now, full disclosure, I did refinance at some point, which is a horrible idea. Like at the time, it seems like a good idea because the monthly payments are so like overwhelming. But in the long run, you're screwing yourself when you refinance a student loan. You just are. So 165 monthly payments. I never deferred it. I never missed a payment. And I still owe $78,000. And I've been out of school for 14 years. My oldest turns 10 next week. So realistically, if she decides to go to college, I'm going to be still paying my student loans and likely still owe like $30-some thousand on my student loans when I'm trying to figure out how to pay for her college. And I don't know what the solution is to this whole situation. I don't think loan forgiveness is fair. I don't think taxpayers who didn't go to college should have to have their tax money pay off the student loans for those who did choose to go to college. I don't think that's fair at all. But I do think something needs to be done because universities are charging like obscene tuition. Student loan companies are doing predatory lending to children and setting up people for like a lifetime of debt. Like you're starting out your adult life with like crippling debt. And I don't know what the solution is here, but something isn't working.